At long last, I found you. Now this'll keep me up through the night. What was that? Oh. Huh. It's a Japanese version of We Play. Thought it was going to be something stupid like, Okay, my history with this game needs a little introduction. A few years ago, me and my brother went to a local game store, and I picked up 2 Wii games. One was this Japanese import that I later found out was We Play, and this game. I put the Japanese game into my Wii, could not play it, and reluctantly played the other one. I got 15 minutes in when I had to stop because of how bad it was, and the game made me have an idea that I could make a video on how bad this game is. Since then, some things have changed. I got into Warhammer, I even got my own PC, but that little idea in the back of my head still remained. The idea that one day I can make a video detailing how terrible this game is. I shouldn't make it out like this was the only game that gave me enough courage to start a YouTube channel and start making videos. Star Trek was also one of these games. But I already made a video on it, and while it does have some poor qualities to it, it's already made. Now it's time for this game. Without further ado, I give you Indiana Jones and the Staff of Kings. Okay, not off to a good start. Why is it so fast compared to the original version? Did they just not get the rights to it, so they had to speed it up so that it can be considered fair use? I shouldn't be that harsh on the game just yet. I mean, it has only been in my console for 5 seconds. Why are the intros of these games so damn loud? I swear, the next game that I play better not destroy my eardrums. I mean, there's quite a few There's one choice. There we go, they're actually using the correct song. After the opening credits, the game asks you to pick a save file. If you create a new one, you have to choose between normal and hard. Yeah, we ain't no scrubs. Here's an interesting positive about this game. The main menu feels really good. It's bathed in all these warm browns and tans. It feels really nice to be around. The lack of any people around here also adds to the tranquility. Whoa, scratch that, there is a guy here. He just bangs on the glass like the zombie from Black Ops. Why did they add him to the main menu? Scratch that, enough stalling. Time to actually get into this game. The game starts in 1939 in Sudan, with Indy overlooking a German dig site. Oh, now you crouch? The intro of this game is fairly interesting because it makes no sense. What I mean by that is that this is in 1939 in Sudan and the Germans are here with an armed dig site. To explain that point, I'm going to show a picture of Africa where I generally think that this section takes place, and Africa in 1939. Yeah, no way Britain is going to let a bunch of armed Germans that deep into Africa, especially when they are, at most, 7 months away from World War II. Well, Thank God I have this to keep me up through the night. Well, enough about that. Let's actually get into this game and see how this controls. That's a nice content. Oh. I didn't even want him to attack. I was just moving myself in my chair. Looking more appealing by the moment. Hey, we'll confront that beast when we get there, but for right now, we have to get through more of the tutorial. Speaking of which, the whip tutorial is right in front of us. Just hold B button and chop with your hand. It's extremely simple. To introduce this mechanic, they thought it would be best to use a wall of briars that you have to cut through using your whip. Does this happen in the movies? When you think of Indiana Jones using his whip, what comes to mind? Yeah, me too. I'm probably nitpicking too much, so let's just get on with this. Continuing down the path, Indy uses his whip to break through plant obstacles, and he... Oh? I should just shut my mouth next time. After Indy clears the hole, he goes into the cave, and there he finds a new mechanic. Torches. Look, if it's in the game manual, it's a mechanic. It's higher up than using your whip, actually. Hey, I didn't make this game. Next, when you're down in the cave, you find a big-ass cobweb that you burn through with a torch, and you free some bats that have just been sitting there for God knows how long. Then you get onto this bridge, and then a cutscene happens. Oh, I'm supposed to do something. Alright, man, let me just get my controller. Hey, he's not dying. In fact, those spiders are just going in circles. Oh, the music stopped. That's great. Well, no time like the present. Jesus. Oh, is that how spiders get you? They just swarm you, wear you down until one of them just hits you with a random haymaker? Alright, guess we're gonna ignore that. What you're supposed to do is shake off the spiders by shaking the Wii remote and nunchuck. I don't know why you would do this, because watching Indy die is a lot more fun, but alas, we just have to get through this game. After the spider section, the game progresses with more temple stuff. Though interestingly enough, there is a second QuickTime event that has you shake the Wii remote real fast, and also has a death animation. They didn't even try for this one. Eventually though, you do get to the end of the temple, where surprise surprise, the Germans find you. My favorite part is that the German doesn't even see Indy when he walks in. He's in the middle of the room, but he had to do a double take.
Es ist ein Fehler. Ich kann erklären, bitte.
Then by all means, Dr. Jones. Explain.
Who the fuck are you?
Magnus Voller.
Oh, okay, excuse my outburst.
What's the matter, Magnus? Can't go on digs without the Fuhrer's babysitters?
The idol, Jones.
How are those reflexes?
Bring him back.
That's all, folks.
Okay, I think I can move on now. After you leave the temple, a bunch of Germans gang up on you, and this starts the combat tutorial. Oh, okay, I guess we're gonna have to talk about the combat. This probably isn't a surprise to any of you that understand that this came out on the Wii, but for the combat, you have to swing the Wii remote to do your attacks. It gets worse than that, as the attacks that you do correspond to how you move the actual remote. Swing up for a fast hit, swing down for a powerful hit, and swing in the middle for something in between. Yeah, this is clunky, however, if the game can detect the difference in the swings accurately, then this isn't awful. But I have a surprise for you. It doesn't. In theory, you can control which attacks you use, but in reality, you can't really control Indy on whether or not he gives them a love tap or just hits them into the outfield. The only reliable tool that you have in your arsenal is the parry, because that relies on you pressing buttons and not on you flailing the remote. But that's only half of this atrocious story. It takes two to tango, and let's look at the attacks of the enemies. Okay, we're going to get a lesson in how games are supposed to be designed, and today's lesson is on choreography. The main idea behind game choreography is that the enemies should be noticeable enough so that you can react to their attacks. Guess what this game does? Yeah, it barely does that. Sure, the slow attacks are easy to parry, but the medium and fast attacks are barely counterable, and they have the same startup animations as the slow attacks. Alright, so what else happens in this segment of the game? Not much, really. You go around the camp beating up the Nazis. Then you get into a plane. At least they tried with the controls, as you have to hold the Wii Remote upright and control it like a joystick on an airplane, so that's that. It still controls like ass, though. You can fire the gun by using the A button on the plane. That's kind of neat. You can barely aim with it, though. Also, thank goodness that Germany didn't invest in biplanes during World War II, as apparently you need the full 9 yards just to take one of them down, and it can just shoot a modern plane once, and it just goes up in smoke. Regardless of that, though, when you exit the trench where the plane segment takes place, Indy literally flies off into the sunset, and that's how this first mission stops. This game has already topped the worst parts of Star Trek. I didn't even think that was possible in its first section. Alright, so the second section of this game takes place in San Francisco, and it starts off with child kidnapping, apparently. Indy follows these kidnappers to their lair, and he discovers their worst offense yet, defacing the good old American dollar. Also, if you are wondering if the combat has changed any since the first chapter, it hasn't. The only improvement that I can see is that sometimes the enemies hit you with the good old 2x4, but that's about it. Or at least that is for the melee combat. I am trying to keep this conversation as closely to melee combat as I can, so we are going to ignore the shooting phases for as much as we can until we get there. Also, this is about the time where I realized that if you manage to get out only quick jabs, you can do this sort of stuff. Moving on. Actually, we're not moving on, because I need to show this citizen absolutely doming a gang member from their windowsill. Never change, San Fran, never change. Wait, what? After going through the counterfeiting room, you get up to a dining hall where you just have a brawl, but after that, you go out and you chase the guy that's carrying the girl into a factory that just recently exploded. Fortunately for the story, Indy does not value his own life, so he charges into the burning building. Unfortunately, though, neither do the people that he is fighting with, because they just stand around in this room while it's burning down around them. If it wasn't apparent to you, yes, there is a bar brawl that happens here. After this room, however, there is a new tutorial for a new game mechanic, the shooting. Why Indiana Jones didn't start throwing lead as soon as the life of himself or the child was in danger, I don't know. Perhaps it's because the mechanics for the gun just suck. But how does it suck? It's not exactly easy to make shooting a gun boring or infuriating. In a video game, at least. Let's go through the list, shall we? First one, aiming. Point the Wii remote at something that you want Indy to shoot at. Hit the B button to actually shoot. To reload, just hit B when there's nothing in the revolver, or aim outside of the screen and then hit B. The problem is that either reload animation causes the game to mess up where it thinks you're aiming at, so you have to finagle with it for a little bit to get it back to where you want to aim. The other problem with these shooting areas is how the shooting galleries are actually designed. Take the tutorial, for example. Where do you think you should shoot? The guy who's shooting at you, or the barrels that fade into the background? You would think that the man is a valid target because he glows green, but he's not. You have to shoot the barrels in the background that you can barely see. Anyway, after scaring off that guy with explosives, you follow him into some alleyways and some rooftops of San Francisco, and oh hey, look, there's another shooting scene. Does this look fun? Yeah, I guess not. After this shooting gallery, you walk like 5 feet and you get into a new shooting gallery, but at least this one is the last one for a while, so, you know, that's good. After saving the life of the girl that was kidnapped, you go to the grandfather's house of the girl that you just saved, and it's just completely vacant. Being a nosy little goober, Indiana Jones snoops around the house and finds out that there's a false wall. Opening this false wall, Indy realizes that there's a stairway leading down underground. These stairs actually go down for quite a while. How is this here? You know, it's a little interesting to think about, because this is in the middle of a significant city in America. And the entrance to these stairs is a house, no less. Just some food for thought, for right now at least. Indy eventually finds a room that is just covered in artifacts, and there are a few henchmen looking for something. Usual shenanigans ensue, but you do eventually clear out the enemies. Also, just look around this room. Like, are these all collected by this one guy? And does anyone know about these things? Hey, man, you didn't declare any of this on your taxes. Well, anyway, to progress, all you have to do is flick down the trunk of an elephant and then sit in a chair. Don't think about that one too hard. As soon as Indy gets in the chair, someone just shoots out the brake, so now it can't stop. This segment also has one of the best parts of the game. If you guessed that Indiana Jones went flying through a brick wall, you'd be correct. But for real though, if you do complete that QuickTime event, Indy uses his whip to escape the chair, and then he lands himself inside a ship graveyard that's just underneath this guy's house. Oh my god. Also, I'd like to bring attention to the fact that the only difference between winning that QuickTime event and losing doesn't have anything to do with the brakes, which is what you were struggling with. It only affects whether or not Indy loses consciousness when he plows through those maple logs. Alright, moving on, I guess. So, in order to progress, Indy must... And let me read this from the notes. Okay, so firstly, Indy must push against the ship so that he can learn that bare strength cannot move the timbers of the ship. Next, Indy must go up the hill behind him, break off a prow of the ship using his whip, and then just slide that down the hill right into the ship that he wants to get into, breaking the centuries-old wood. As much as I would love to tear into this game about how Indy just chose a random ship and it was just the correct one, but I can't. The name of the ship was stated earlier, so, you know, Indy knew where he was going, technically. If you couldn't tell already from this video, I care deeply about this story. Obviously, I'm not going in depth on the story because it's terrible, and why is this still up? So, the story is bad. They made a book out of it. Alright, so obviously I don't know which came first, the book or the game. I just think that this is wild that both exist. There's a lot more books than I thought there were. Like, what is it? Parallel Delphi? Where he just meets the Oracle, apparently. Like, oh, what's this one? He finds Thor's hammer. That's not that good. The Philosopher's Stone, isn't that the one where it's like made out of pee? Okay, tangent over. Indiana Jones goes into the ship and makes his way up to the deck. There he finds gang members ready to kill him. Why hello, A-Button. Why are you blinking at me? I swear, the best part about this game is watching Indy fail QuickTime events. At the moment, the roster includes Indiana Jones getting roundhouse kicked by a spider, him getting bucked by a chair and being flown right into a wall, and now he just gets blown up by a cannonball. Okay, I'm ready. So Indiana Jones beats these guys, then he recovers a green ball that he was looking for. When he gets back up to the surface, he sees the guy that owns the house, and that he's being held up by gunpoint by the Germans. So Indy and that guy escape by getting on a trolley, and this starts another shooting gallery part. Just as bland as the other one, except you're on a car now. Guess that's cool. Okay, section 2 done. So chapter 3 starts with Indiana Jones trying to charter a boat, but there's a girl there that also wants to charter a boat, and the boat guy just takes both of them, so plot resolved. She states that she's a photographer, but besides just having some poor natives carrying around her equipment, nothing comes about that. She just accompanies Indiana Jones in the cutscenes, so I guess she's the companion now. As expected, there's a bunch of people that you should have no moral objection to beating the crap out of. Also, as expected, these combat scenarios are the exact same as the past 2 chapters, so I'm going to be glossing over those. Except the part where you unleash some goats and get pummeled by some Russians. That's just peak shit. Well, after that fight, you mess around in some ruins until you find some more guys to shoot at. I swear to God, I don't know where this recording is. Just trust me, that's what happens. So you mess around in the ruins until you find this guy. Alright, so now I think I should look up some boss music to go with this guy, so... Oh. That's too epic. Yeah. Let's find a good cover for this. Alright, there we go. Let's see. Yep, this looks like a good one.
Wash away the anger.
Okay, maybe not this one.
Droplets falling gently down on the terrain.
Alright, yeah, no,
Wash
not
away
this one.
that-
Not this one. Alright. You know what? I think we're going no boss music for this fight. Yes, we have come to the only actual boss fight in this game. Better cherish it. This was the part that really made me go and get a walkthrough for this game, because I had no idea what I was supposed to do with him, because nothing seemed to work. What you're supposed to do is wait until he shoots fire at you 3 times, then he proceeds to drink alcohol, and then that's your time to get him with the whip, and then you just beat him up 3 times if memory serves correctly. What you have to do after you defeat him is where the real pain happens. This quick time event requires you to shake your Wii remotes so fast for it. It's like playing the drum solo for Angel of Death twice at double speed. After you beat that quick time event, you go into the temple, you solve a bunch of little puzzles, get into a small gunfight, then solve some more little puzzles until you come into this room with all the balls.
Cut it out. See here. Then Moses stretched out his staff over the sea, and all that night the Lord drove the sea back with a strong east wind and turned it into dry.
Alright, so I'm going to say something really important. That's why I brought this cat in, as well as all the other animals in the forest I could find to say it, so that you can really understand me. Oh, you don't want to be here? Oh, neither do I. Man, this game's audio mixing is so amazing. And hey, why'd you teleport? No. Oh, I guess we're doing another puzzle here. I still have no idea how I finished this puzzle. Like, looking back at the footage, I see no pattern as to what I was doing to solve it, but that's besides the point. I like how when you actually do finish the puzzle, all of the balls just stop moving, like they were just set in place by God. Alright, when you finally do finish this puzzle, Magnus One-Eye comes in and then just shouts at Indiana Jones for some reason. Then Indy escapes and now you're on to Istanbul now.
No!
Alright, we're in Istanbul now for some plot reasons. Nice overcoat, Indy. And it's gone. Great. They couldn't even change the outfit for one mission. So you get to fight some Germans right next to a Turkish bombard. That's about as interesting as this section gets, though. You go underneath this palace and you push around some tombs. That's about all. The only thing keeping this one different from the last level is that the color palette's a little different, but that's it. So anyway, you get out of the palace after doing the stuff that you need to do, and you leave Istanbul. But, Indy, this isn't part of the script. Why are you getting on that elephant? This is probably the best part of the game. And I don't even know what was happening. So we got Indiana Jones ducking to prevent getting clotheslined by, clotheslines. We also got an elephant that just destroys market stalls and scaffolding, and then just tanks 50 brain shots from a machine gun like it's some sort of dreadnought.
I will endure 1,000 deaths before I yield.
So anyway, when you survive long enough, the elephant just says, "Power suit activated," and just demolishes the Model A's that were chasing you. Next stop, the Himalayas for some reason. So you find yourself in Nepal. Yeah, I didn't call this either. Besides that, it's time for Indy, and by extension you, to climb up this mountain. Besides Indy occasionally being blown off the mountain because he didn't whip fast enough, it's the same stuff we've all seen before. This is probably my biggest critique of the game. Or at least, the biggest critique that isn't the combat feels like you're playing Just Dance 10 yards away from the Wii's motion sensor. This game just isn't that interesting. There is a grand total of 2 different enemy units, so every single fight is the exact same. Every map feels the exact same, and this game is so unbelievably long that the interesting parts about this game do not feel worth it at all. You come across a saber-toothed cat in this game, and I felt nothing when I did that. I'm not joking about the length of this game either. When I was done recording it, I had about 12 hours of usable footage, and like a third of my actual footage got corrupted, so I had like close to 18 to 20 hours of this stupid ass game. So anyway, continuing on, Indiana Jones beats up a Nepalese village worth of Germans, then goes into a Jewish temple in the middle of the Himalayas to get the Moses' staff. Wait, hang on, why is Moses' staff in the Himalayas? Well, that's a stupid question. But wasn't Moses' staff already in the Ark of the Covenant, so wouldn't America already have that at this point? Well, that's an even stupider question. The answer is they didn't think of that. An elephant took on all 9 yards from a machine gun belt back in Turkey. You should have left your plot grievances back there. Continuing the plot, Indy escapes the crumbling Jewish tomb in the Himalayas by using an Egyptian coffin to just float down an ancient underground river. Yeah, that seems about right. As you can probably gather, this section handles like garbage, and I know that looking at Indy, it looks like he wouldn't have that much control over it, but just look at the thing that he's riding on. That thing is carrying mostly stone. That thing isn't floating regardless. Might as well give the player a little bit of agency. Also, when you die here, Indy's hat just flies right out of his pants as he just careens right into a wall. You just gotta love those death scenes in this game. If you do, however, manage to survive until the end of this river, you get rewarded with the stupidest cutscene in any game I have ever seen so far. Let's rewatch that, shall we? So Indiana Jones just fucking Mario hops off of the coffin onto presumably nothing, then lands on a rigid airship so hard that it shakes the damn thing. He still survives this, and then the screen just pans out, and they didn't even make the mountain asset big enough for the cutscene, so you just get a peek behind it, and there's just nothing. But hey, we have one more mission left to go. Let's finish this. The mission starts with Indiana Jones climbing a ladder down into the actual rigid airship that he landed on. Indy is spotted almost immediately, and in response to getting shot at, he uses a crane with a piano attached to it to knock the shooter off of the rigid airship into the sea below, thus starting the first section of this mission. I can't even describe how stupid this part is. Imagine being the person who put this idea forward in the board meeting. Can we just appreciate the balls on the man that put forward this idea that there should be a physics-based claw machine game in this Indiana Jones boss fight? To all of you who are still watching this, well, first off, thank you, but secondly, I would love for you to go to someone and ask them what sounds like it doesn't belong in an Indiana Jones game. Indiana Jones getting annihilated by a cannonball, Indiana Jones racking up 20 kills with a piano, or Indiana Jones calling someone a big tub of lard and then promptly getting his ass kicked. The answer is that all of these can happen in this game. The third one can be found in the point-and-click adventure bonus game.
Why should I, you fat tub of lard?
That's it, wise guy. Put up your two.
Told you. Well, when you're finally ready to finish that horrible section, you're on to the final shooting area of the game, and oh my goodness, this is the hardest part of the game up to this point. There's no guarantee that the cover you're hiding behind this time will save you from the bullets, and sometimes you're not even given cover. The last section of this has you hanging off of a plane while guys with SMGs charge you. Best not lose your balance, or your temper, now that I'm thinking of it. After the shooting section, you move on to a mess hall, and this is where the final brawl part of the game happens, and this is undeniably the toughest part of this game. I spent around 2 hours on this section. It is just stupid. Well, respect the challenge, I hear you say. Well, respect it if it's respectable, I'd say. The only reason it is remotely hard is because there are just so many enemies that just pour into this place. This isn't testing any of the skills that you accrued over the game. The only thing that it's testing is your patience. But if you finally beat that, you are rewarded with the final boss fight of the game. You're also rewarded with a cutscene to it, which is kind of funny. So the main antagonist, which I have completely looked over in this review, uses the Staff of Moses to just blow a hole in his own ship. Just a genius move in general. But before you start the boss fight, you're greeted with this info sheet. Take a good long look at it so that it can just sink in how vague this info sheet really is. Do you turn the Wii remote like in Mario Kart, or do you just throttle them? Probably neither, considering this game. I can't remember. I still have no idea what the second picture is referring to. Like, the coupling doesn't break or anything. But enough about the stupid picture. Let's go move on to the actual boss fight. And it starts with the bad guy just doing donuts for no reason. Guess he wanted Indy to get his bearings straight. I don't know. The aim of the boss fight is to catch the bad guy before the blimp that's chasing you just blows you into the water. And, oh, it's done. Okay. I guess that's the end of the story now. Well, that's a bit anticlimactic. All you have to do is just tail him for 2 minutes. Also, how are they getting off this island? Like, it's in the middle of nowhere. So I guess that's the end of the story mode. Holy shit. Now there's a whole lot to pick from this game. Not a whole lot of good. Might as well start grading it from least to greatest impact, starting with the graphics. They're not good. I don't really know how to describe it, but each level just feels like it's in the same building. Like they're just different rooms within the same building instead of in completely different rooms. All of the ruins feel the same. They use a lot of the same colors. There's no variety or very little variety in this game. That's all I have to say about the graphics, so let's just move on to the story. You can probably tell just by listening to this video that I was not paying attention to this story, but even then, I still have things that I'd like to say about it. The main thing that I don't like about it is that it is extremely unbelievable to think that all of these places are connected. The Indiana Jones movies do travel around the globe all the time, but it always makes sense. It made sense for those artifacts to be where they are, whether it's a modern day archaeologist move them from a place where people from that time could move, or those people from that time could easily move to that spot. An example of this would be in the first movie where the Egyptian medallion was moved to Nepal because Miriam's father moved it there. Another example would be in the third movie where the Italian knight would know where the Grail would be because moving from Italy to Turkey and back is a believable trek from someone of that time. Turning back to this game, however, this game wants us to believe that the ancient Mesoamericans, the Tibetans, and the Anatolians all knew about this staff and had detailed ways of how to get it. I don't think I need to pull up a map just to say that I'm a little skeptical that this is true. The story also flows very strangely. There's no smoothness to it at all. It's just, we're here, now we're here, now we're here. That's about as much as I think I am qualified to talk to you about the story, so let's move on to the gameplay. I'm not sure if I left anything else that I wanted to say about the gameplay. The parkour sucks, the puzzles are either really easy or incoherent. The combat is motion controls. I'm not sure if I need to elaborate on that one. So yeah, I guess that's the end of it. I would definitely not recommend this game. The most amount of fun that you can get out of it is that if you buy it for like $2 at a used game store, play it with your friends just so that you can gawk at it for like 30 minutes and then you just forget about it. I believe I have met my max of how much I can stomach of this game, so I'm probably never going to touch this again and probably get some well-deserved sleep. Thank you so much for watching. It truly does mean the most to me. Like if you have watched to the end, you just have my utmost gratitude for stomaching all of that dumb stuff. I'm really tired right now. I just edited the past 10 minutes of this video all this night. It's very interesting how for months you just have no desire to touch it, and it's just eating at the back of your mind, and then all of a sudden you just have this sudden wind of inspiration to finish it. Not saying that this is good or that I didn't rush the some parts of this video, but it's nice to get it out there and see that the Star Trek video is no longer the lone 30-minute video sitting with a bunch of memes. So yeah, more of this type of video in the future. Hopefully they're going to be a lot quicker to put out than just one every 8 months. Entering summer, I'm going to have a little bit more free time, a little less responsibility, so hopefully I'm going to get my act together and put a few more videos up. Alright, thank you. Bye. Hey, don't eat that. Don't eat that. Cat nibbling on a French fry.